And welcome back, everyone. Lots of us dealing with stuff from time to time, challenges, physical challenges, mental. I get it. Life isn't always easy. But there's one thing that if you master, it'll pave the road for things to come easier for you. I'm talking about self-love. What does that mean? Where are we going with this? Why is it so important to practice self-love? We're going to talk with somebody today that has a wonderful organization of the finest certified holistic healers anywhere. And they use modalities like hypnotherapy, acupuncture, body talk, Reiki, yoga, massage, and so much more to help people. The woman behind it is Kate Blecher. She's back with us today. How you doing, Kate?
I'm doing very well, Steve. Thank you.
Great having you back here. And it's interesting that we're talking about something that sounds so simple as self-love. But that is kind of the umbrella for all of the modalities that you and your team practice. If you don't have self-love, I believe those modalities aren't going to work as well. And maybe they can help you find self-love. Let's define it. How do you define self-love?
Well, you're absolutely right. All the modalities do work better once you've found self-love. But self-love is really, most people have negative self-talk. They find themselves, they say they don't work hard enough, they don't do the chores they're supposed to do, they don't manage their finances well. All these things put themselves down. And it really is very bad for the soul because none of it's true. I mean, we're all here having a wonderful existence on this planet, and we're not doing anything wrong. And I'm a hypnotherapist, and I talk to my spirit guides or my angels, and they make it very clear that once you have self love, you're just golden. I mean, everything works. I know I used to blame myself for all the bad things in my life. But then I came to realize through talking to guides that if these higher spiritual beings loved me so much that I deserved to love myself as much. And I just became so much happier.
Hmm.
And many people are resistant to it, but it really is a key ingredient in happiness.
It's one that we minimize because we don't realize how beneficial it can be. And then I think another part of it is we feel guilty, for saying, I love myself. People think it's, your ego. Oh, look at that person. They're full of themselves. Whoa. No, that's not the case. That's not the case. How do you express self-love? How would you describe it?
I would describe it as feeling that the most important person in your life is yourself. And your whole goal is to make it as good and as seamless and as happy and as wonderful as you can. And if you have self love and you focus on that, everything kind of comes into place.
Hmm. Yeah. It is challenging to get to that point, especially since many of us growing up experience so many things. Could be a trauma, divorce of parents, bullying, sibling rivalry, and I think you would agree that all of us, if not most of us, have a feeling of we're not good enough in some area, and we carry that with us. So it's hard to say, yeah, I love you, meaning yourself. It's hard to do that, right?
But it is, and it's a shame that most people don't have a very vivid feeling of self love. And I've worked with clients, and when they acknowledge it, they're just, oh, they're like on cloud nine. It's like, I'm really not responsible for hurting that person. I'm really not responsible for having lost my job. I'm
Hmm.
really not responsible for addicted, and it's just, it's a freedom. And And you don't have to tell everyone how much you love yourself
Okay.
because you're right. People sometimes think that's a bit, obnoxious. But just to feel it and to know it and not to be hard on yourself is just a much better way to go through life.
Would you describe it as a feeling of I I've got my back, where situations might have come up previously where you stress out, like, how am I going to deal with that? Oh my gosh, you have nobody. Who am I going to turn to? But when you get to the point where you can turn to yourself, it's almost a game changer where you have faith in yourself, you rely on yourself, and then you also realize, yes, it's great to be in relationships, a partnership, absolutely, absolutely. But you realize that I don't need somebody else. Many of us feel that we need somebody else, like the movie, and it was Tom Cruise, you complete me. You complete me. That's the worst thing you could ever say, I believe. And I did. Yeah, I understand why, people say that, but I would change it now instead of you complete me to you compliment me. I think that's more accurate.
That's much better. Yes, definitely. I mean, people are an addition, and
Right.
that's, you know,
I believe we lost her there. We had a an internet situation going on. All right, we're going to take a short break and come back. Hang on. Oh, wait, I think she's back. I think she's back. Yeah. We're talking with Kate Blecher, and she's the woman behind a great organization, Kate's Holistic Healing. It's in the New York City area, but it helps people all over virtually in all different modalities. And that could be massage, yoga, Reiki, body talk, emotion code, acupuncture, hypnotherapy, hypnosis. Kate, I see you back there. I think you're muted. And if we don't hear from you in a sec, we'll go to a break and come right back. Hello, Kate. All right, we're going to jump to a break. And well, I think she just returned. Look at that.
wow, wonderful.
All right.
Sorry about
And and she's back. Yeah, I know you're up in the mountain somewhere. Um with not the greatest cell connection, but all good. How do you get to the point where, how do you practice self-love? How do you get there? People are hearing, watching this and wondering, yeah, I get it, but how do I get there?
right. Well, the first thing that you have to do is figure out all the reasons that you don't have self-love. What what barriers have you set up? And then the easiest way to find it is meditation. And I don't know if most of your audience meditate, but it's becoming a very popular trend these days. And when you get into it, you can learn, you can start asking your spirit guides, you know, I'm sick. What did I do to make myself so sick? And you'll find out you didn't do anything. You just simply are. And it's not your fault, and you're not responsible for anything. So if you talk to them and you go through each area, and then you find out how much they love you and you respect them completely, and I'm talking higher spiritual beings, then it's really much easier for you to be able to communicate and focus your efforts onto what's going to be good for your soul and not let other people bring you down. Let them talk and complain and criticize you if they want to, but just think about whether or not you want them in your life that much if they do that.
Hmm. It's funny you should say that because I went through a ending of a long-term relationship, and there was,
Sorry.
of course, connected to that person's family, and now I'm not connected anymore. And when that all happened, I spoke to a very close friend and explained it. I'm like, I can't believe, that they were my family as well. Look at what has happened. And my friend said to me, I know, but those people don't serve you anymore. Just what you're saying. And
Exactly.
at
Right.
first, it felt like I was the king up on the hill, like, go be gone with yourself. You don't serve me anymore. But then I understood it. Life changes. They don't fit my life. I don't fit theirs. And that's the way it is. But, to your point, when you realize those things, I want to go back to the spirit guides. So, who are these guides? I know we all have different ones. How do you access them? You say through meditation. Tell us more about that.
Sure. Well, as a hypnotherapist, I have introduced many people to their spirit guides. And these are basically the souls that we travel through with time. I mean, we've had many lives. We've had lives on other planets. Most of our time is spent in the period called lives between lives. And that's when we're up with our spirit guides, playing in the cosmos, running around. And it's the same souls. There's usually about, 3 to 5 to 6 of them in your circle. And you'll find if you do past life regressions, you'll meet one of your spirit guides and you'll both be having a life together. And when you first meet them, you'll feel an instantaneous connection and a very deep feelings. And it's wonderful. And when you do
Hmm.
meditations, you can talk to these spirit guides and they answer you. And all their answers are always positive and loving. And they make it very clear that they don't do anything. They don't say anything that's harmful or negative, unlike our friends on earth.
Okay. Um, could they be relatives that have passed on?
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
I mean, I have had relatives. I've had past lives where one of my spirit guides is my soulmate. Those were my best lives. Um, my my family has been with me in past lives in different relationships. Like my sister was my wife in one life, and another friend was somebody that I traveled through a number of lives with. So, yeah, I mean, these spirit guides are just the souls we're the closest to. If you've ever met someone in your life and you instantaneously felt you knew them forever, then they might be one of your spirit guides, one of the people in your circle.
Hmm. So I've said this many times before here. I'm going to say it again, because it for me it fits what you're saying. My mom passed away 5 years ago, and I feel like she's always around and she's offering reassurance and guidance, and she sends signs, and they are incredibly specific. There's no denying. I get me the biggest skeptic in the world, and I'll present it, and then I want to hear what they have to say. Because she'll send her name. She sends when I ask, I usually get, and it's very detailed. If it's, I found a penny or I found a, butterfly, if that supports somebody, that's wonderful. I ask for more and I get more, very detailed. So I believe that she's probably one of them. There's no question in my mind. Um, but to your point, in a meditation, oh, what is meditation? You're just thinking deeply too. Uh, ask, what do you have to lose by just asking for a sign, reassurance, an answer, right?
Exactly. I mean, you hit it completely on the head. My husband passed away a year ago, and whenever I ask him questions, he just gives me, well, okay, I'm going to send you a message today. And then I get this incredible, spot on message, and it's wonderful. And there are there are people that I've met that I've had that same thing. I mean, I'm so glad you have this connection with your mother, but people need to learn the right questions to ask. Ask, what should they be doing in their lives? What's
Hmm.
their goal for the month? What are they missing? And no, don't ask things like, how can I have more money, or how can I get this job? I mean, they don't care about minutia like that. And they put things in a bigger perspective. Look at your life, look at your happiness, look at your loves. And
Hmm.
the little short-term decisions are not that meaningful.
Interestingly, I've never asked for those types of answers. I've just asked for just show me around. Show me a sign. Or there was one time, the first time I ever did it, it was 3 years ago. I said, just show me a sign that everything's going to be okay in a situation that could have been life-changing. And I got it. I got her sign. Um, I was heading to a meeting and I vibed her the night before. And when I woke up, I'm like, Mom, I don't know how this is going to go, but please just, if you're there, give me something. So I drive to the meeting, 9:22 a.m., pulling into the parking lot. I'm like, whoa, all right, here we go. And I looked down of the console of my car, and I had an energy drink that I had for breakfast. And I look on it, and the expiration date was her birthday. And oh, that's one of many, but that was the first one. And I was like, okay. And the meeting, everything went fine. It went in my direction. It was all good. It all worked out. And I talked to my friend about it, and he said, a 1 in 365 chance. I'm like, okay. But he goes, but what are the chances of you looking at that expiration date at that moment? Who looks at that? But I did.
Right.
It's like as if she said, take a look down here. I want to show you. You're good. So ask and you
I
shall
mean,
receive.
you shall. I had asked my husband to send me a message, and he had said he wanted me to get one of those necklaces that if you fall,
Life alert.
calls ambulance. Right.
Yep.
And so I figured, okay, he wants me to do that. I'll do that. About 2 hours later, the phone rings, and it's a man that said somebody from the visiting nurse service called him and recommended that I get one of these Life Alert necklaces. And he was from Life Alert. And it was just, okay, thank you, Tony, for sending that message to me. And I got it. And it's helped me. I mean, I've fallen twice, and both times
Wow.
it sent help.
And what are the chances of, it's not like somebody was listening to you. Some people say, well, the phone is listening, but no, not for something like that, that somebody's picking up the phone and calling you the next day from that company. Um, and you probably wouldn't have made the call yourself right away. You probably would have thought about, yeah, you know what, that's probably a good idea. Maybe I should call. But then they called you because so it's almost as if
Exactly.
he knows you, so he was saying, yeah, she's not going to call soon enough, so I'm gonna take matters into my own hands. Um, I'll say, since we're sharing, the last message I got from her was 3 weeks ago, and this one was I'll laser this, but you can't make it up. A really good friend of mine passed away. I've been doing radio since I was 17. My mom used to drive me to the radio station, even have a license. And a woman I worked with for a lot of years passed suddenly, hit me very hard. Um, we were very successful. People knew us in New York for our show together. So a day or two later, I was like, wow, I could hang out with some friends, but you know what? I think I'm just going to take a walk into town. Something was saying, don't, you need to be alone. So I walk into town with my dog. This is the town I kind of grew up in. My mom worked there. My aunt worked there. They worked together. My grandmother, all of it. Excuse me. So I go to a little pub brewery and they're doing karaoke. And I just sit down with my dog and I'm just like, just taking it all in, kind of meditating and everything. The first song that somebody picked to sing. Now, this is just a random person walking up, was The Rose by Bette Midler. My mom's name is Rose. So, all right, I'm just sitting there taking it all in. Okay, cool. Second song that somebody goes up to pick was On the Radio by Donna Summer. Like, okay. 2 songs later, 10-year-old boy walks up, wants to hear a song by the band Rush, came out in the 80s. Um, and it's called Spirit of Radio. So in 12 minutes, this is what transpired. And these are people randomly picking out songs. And yeah, I don't, nothing surprises me. But when thought about it deeper, on the radio, The Rose came out the year I started in radio. It was my mom's name too. And On the Radio came out the year before, which was the year I was first on. I won an amateur hour on a radio station, and my mom drove me to that station. So it's like I just sit back. I'm like, all right, thanks, mom. Thanks for the reassurance. Maybe she was with my friend sending these down, but I'm like, just got my dog, and I was like, all right, there's a reason why I went down there and why something was pulling me there. But to your point, once again, Kate, ask. And I'm going to, based on our conversation, be specific. Like I just asked for a sign. Now I'm going to be, give me an answer. Yeah, because I get him. I get him. You can't, how can you punch a hole in that? There was nobody there that, hey, let's do this song for Steve. No, I'm sitting in the back by myself. Nobody even saw me. Yeah.
That is amazing. And the fact that you had the premonition to go and take a walk by yourself with your dog instead of hanging out with your friends. I mean, your mom, she's very close to you if she's always there and sending such loving messages.
I'll tell you this. I never go to this place with my dog. I don't take him out. I need to get him out more. 2 weeks before I went to this place, I'm walking him. That's the first time I ever took him there. Walking him. And I look up and there's two men standing there and I recognize them. And I was friends with them when I was 10 years old. And their mom was my mom's best friend. They were best friends. And I've since have now a relationship with them. So 2 weeks later, I went back and this is what I got. And it was again connected to my mom. So the point here is, yeah, we always started talking about self-love, but it's the spirit guides are around you. You've got yourself. Nobody's gonna Nobody's got you better than you. You got to realize that. But you also have some help around if you ask for it. It's out there.
Right. And even for those people that don't believe in spirit guides, they should know that they're still around them, still loving them, still trying to send out positive energy.
Sure.
And if you become receptive to it, like you obviously are, then it's just you're able to get these wonderful answers that you wouldn't have come up on your own.
No, no. And reassurance. That's basically, what I get from it. It's a reassurance like, all right, somebody's listening. We're good. You know, you understand. So, but I'm going to be
Yeah.
more specific in asking questions to get answers. You offer with your team so much. I mean, you hypnotherapy, acupuncture, Reiki, yoga, and all of that. How do we find you? I know is it katesholistichealing.com? Please tell me.
Yes, it's katesholistichealing.com. You can find us online. We have a very large Facebook presence, like 64,000 followers.
Wow.
And we've been in business about 15 years, but they can also call. Our number is 917-863-0857. And if anybody's interested in meditating and meeting their spirit guides, they can go on to kateblecher.com. And in there, I've written books. In my most recent book, I've included 18 meditations. And the first one is meeting your spirit guide.
Wow.
And then you can talk to people who have passed over. There are lots of meditations.
Hmm.
Some I
Love it.
recorded, some others recorded. Yes.
I'll definitely check that out. I'm a student, work in progress when it comes to meditation. Before we close here, I want to show you. I wrote down what we were going to talk about. You can't see it, but self-love and kindness, right? Um,
Right.
I do a radio show where we play music. I end every show with these words: "Be kind to yourself and others."
It's wonderful.
It's kind of what we're talking about.
And this,
Wonderful
I
talking
mean,
with
there's
you today.
nothing. Yeah. Thank you so much. Wonderful talking to you.
You too, yeah. And I'm definitely going to check out your website. I didn't know that you had that on there. And thank you for all the insight today. Really appreciate it.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
Thanks. We'll talk soon. We'll be right back.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, I mean, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.